Alexis, in your bio, it says that you are, or you were, a former editor for the poetry webzine Brink. And I'm wondering, how did that come about? And then what lessons did you take to that you've now brought to your creative career?
Well, it's funny with Brink. It came about through that similar spirit, which I think has helped me to move forward my creative career, which was I thought it would be a good idea. I wanted to do it, and so I just did it. There was one other element, which I was quite lucky. This was back in, it was kind of the first couple of years that the internet started getting known, in the UK anyway. And because of my technical abilities, I was able to write the code for this internet web page. You didn't have web page designers back then, so I had to write web code, and there weren't many poets around. In fact, I don't know if there were any around then. There were one or two. There was a kind of community on the internet, but it was mostly by email. So there weren't many poets who could write computer code. So that's how that came about, is I could do that. And I had this idea for what's called hyper poetry, which I won't go into, but I'm now quoted in some academic texts as one of the first, as an example of a hyper poet, but really it's not worth talking about, it's a technical point. But if anything, Brink taught me about that if you just do something and it's innovative and it's interesting and it's got quality, people will notice it. It will get noticed, but not for a long time. It took a long time before Brink was kind of and my relationship to hyperpoetry was noticed. So I've learned since then that publicity, if you like, promotion, is very important, and it's quite it's the game of publicity, if you like. A lot of people do it badly, and it's frustrating sometimes. I have to be careful what I say here about they're, journalists and everyone, the people, this imagined bunch of people on the other end of the email, on the other end of the phone call, who are stopping you from getting what you want, who are stopping you from getting your message out to the public or whatever. They're just busy people trying to do their job, trying not to upset their boss, and they need to be, you need to capture their interest. I mean, if I email journalists, the subject line of the email has to be mind-blowing. It has to have something. It's either got to be mind-blowing. I mean, if it's something like, Britney Spears falls down dead in the middle of the street in the subject line, it doesn't need to be. I mean, that is actually mind-blowing. Well, Britney Spears does anything, yeah. Then that's going to be like, they'll open that email. But if it's Alexis Kirke, they're not going to open the email. I've got to put something else in there. Something like. I've been lucky. The projects that interest me tend to be quite unusual because of my fascination with the arts and my fascination with the sciences. So the trick has been wording it. So for example, the film that I made, I think one of the reasons it got a lot of publicity was not necessarily the content of the film. It was the byline I came up with, which was a film that watches you while you watch it. And such, a few words has made a difference to my film career. As a result of that, I think significantly as a result of that, maybe not entirely because of that, but I got stuff in IndieWire and IMDb and all, and National Public Radio and a lot of national and international press about the film, not the content of the film, but the concept of the film. And I really think that byline, for a busy journalist, they can just read that at the top of the press release, read it at the top of the email, and bam,